The Chicago Bears could still make a major splash before training camp, which is only 21 days away from today. So happy 3-week anniversary before the official beginning of the 2024-2025 NFL season. And the Chicago Bears can make a move. And if they do make a move, it's likely going to be at center or edge. But in my personal opinion, I think it's going to be at the edge because our current room is only Montez Sweat, DeMarcus Walker, Austin Booker, and Dominique Robinson at the moment. And according to PFF, they're ranking us in the bottom 10 of defensive lines entering the 2024-2025 NFL season. And I think they're wrong on that. But anyway, we strive as Chicago Bears fans having top 10 defensive lines, whether we're good or bad. And just a few years ago, we had a very similar type roster with a good developing young offense and a defense that was only one piece away. And what we did in 2018 was we traded for then Oakland Raiders Khalil Mack for a ton of draft picks and signed him to a massive contract in order to put us over the top and make us the team to beat in the NFC. Well, the Bears can do that again with this move that I'm going to talk about today. I'm very excited to bring it to you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Just Another Year Chicago Bears. My name is Nick Brody, and as always, thank you for tuning in and hope you are all having a safe and great 4th of July weekend. The guy that the Bears could trade for in order to put us over the top, Cowboys edge Micah Parsons, who is only 25 years old and shows no signs of slowing down. Could be a player that Ryan Poles trades for, and yes, would impact the future of this team from a draft capital standpoint, salary cap, but also pure talent. And I would be ecstatic if we can pull this move off. And I'm sure 99% of you guys would be too. So now let's talk about it. But before we do get into more, make sure to smash that like button on this video if you're ecstatic about the Bears potentially getting Parsons, and also commenting bear down in the comment section below if you're ready for Chicago Bears football to return. So let's talk about Parsons. The 25-year-old edge currently plays for the Dallas Cowboys, who drafted him back in 2021 at the 12th overall pick. He's only been in the league for 3 years, but this guy has been absolutely ripping it up. He has been a Pro Bowler all 3 years in the NFL and a 2-time All-Pro out of 2 out of his 3 years. So clearly doing well. And he was Defensive Rookie of the Year back in 2021. Standing at 6'3", 245 pounds, he was considered small coming out of college, but he plays a lot bigger than he is, considering he throws around offensive tackles like ragdolls, and he has no problem with that at all. His current contract is his rookie contract, which he is currently potentially going to hold out Cowboys camp till he gets paid or traded. He's on a 4-year, $17.08 million rookie contract, fully guaranteed, entering the final season, which is only $5.43 million. For one of the best edges in the league, that guy deserves to get paid a ton more money, and Ryan Poles definitely could see that potential to pair with Montez Sweat to coach Austin Booker and make this edge room dominant for the next decade. And oh man, he would absolutely have to pay him and could pay him with some of the trades that I'm going to talk about below. And if you guys don't know how good he is, quickly going to break that down for you guys. In his career, he's played in 50 games, starting all 50 of them, never missing a game, with 213 total tackles, 142 of them being solo, 51 tackles for loss, 89 quarterback hits, again, in 3 seasons. Insane. 40.5 sacks in 3 seasons. Insane. Never had less than 13 sacks in a season. 8 pass deflections, 7 forced fumbles, and 4 fumble recoveries. This guy can clearly cause turnovers, get to the quarterback, get to the backfield, tackle you one-on-one, and just be everywhere. And guys don't have numbers like this at least till their 6th season. So he did it in half the time. So are we looking at a potential future Hall of Famer? Could be. And in 2023, his career year, he showed that off again, finishing top 10 in the MVP voting, top 5 in Defensive Player of the Year voting, and playing in all 17 games with 64 total tackles, 36 of them being solo, 18 tackles for loss, 33 quarterback hits, 14 sacks, a career high, 2 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble that turned into a fumble recovery. It is insane that this guy is only 25 years old and is doing what he's doing. A monster on the field, good at everything that he does. And if the Bears were to sign him, get him this season, they're still going to pay a low cap because his extension won't kick in until next year. And then it'll be a 4-year extension, most likely. That'll get him to 30 years old, still in the prime of his career, can re-sign him, and be paired with Montez Sweat for the next 4 years at least. Absolutely insane. Would be the best edge duo in the NFL for the next 4 seasons, and would love for that to happen. I mean, again, his stats are absolutely insane. So let's talk about how we could get him to come to the Chicago Bears. That would be fair for both the Bears and the Cowboys and help both their futures moving forward. And I'm going to do 2 different types of trades for you guys, one including players and one just being draft picks. So now actually listen, because I know that there's going to be comments already probably out there that are saying, you can't do this, you can't do this. Let's just break it down. I want you guys to listen. I'm going to see if you guys were listening in the comment section below. So the first trade that I would do with the Dallas Cowboys in order to get Parsons to the Chicago Bears is I would send off running back Khalil Herbert along with right guard Nate Davis to the Cowboys for a 25 first, a 25 third, and a 26 second. You're offloading the last year of Herbert's contract to the Dallas Cowboys and keeping that cap money for next year, which then can be used to sign someone maybe this year on a 1 year whatever contract, or you can just save that money for next year to pay Parsons. On top of that, you're offloading Nate Davis's contract, who's owed over $10 million next year. And you're like, hey, Zach Martin is their right guard. Where would he go? Zach Martin can also play center. Move Zach Martin over to center. The guy is just a future Hall of Fame offensive lineman. He can play anywhere. Put Nate Davis in at your right guard, and the Cowboys will make sure that Nate Davis works for his money. So that's another $10 million that the Bears get back. That's cheaper than what they would have to pay for Parsons. They can use that first-round pick to go out and get a defensive edge, pair it, and go get a best guy because this edge draft is absolutely loaded. So that's one right there. You get $15 million extra just for next year alone, getting rid of Davis and Herbert and draft picks. So actually you're more at like $22 million. So you're already paying him for next year in his first season alone. Now let's go into a second trade for the Chicago Bears. And this one would only be using draft picks. I would send off a 25 first, 25 second, which would be Carolina's because we all know that's going to be a higher pick, a 25 fourth, a 26 first, and a 26 third. Parsons is a proven elite edge that would come with little risk instead of a bunch of rookies that could be hits or miss. And honestly, you get rid of your next two first round picks, which you're going to have to pay at least probably like $5 to $7 million each, depending on where you end up picking them. And that's more cap that the Bears can have the next couple of seasons in order to pay Parsons. Now, here's my big kicker, why to get rid of all these draft picks for one guy. We have so much young talent on this roster on rookie contracts that we're going to have to pay eventually. If you have less draft picks for less guys to draft, you have more money in order to pay the guys currently on your roster, not having to worry about rookie contracts. These guys are all young, and then they're still young enough that when you do get your first and couple picks back, you can start developing the next generation of great Chicago Bears. So you have a core unit for at least the next 6 seasons, paid, happy, playing for the Chicago Bears and winning multiple Super Bowls. Just for example, Brisker has 2 years left on his contract. Gordon has 2 years left on his contract. DJ Moore has 2 years left on his contract. Jenkins has to get paid this year. Dexter Sr. has 2 years left on his contract. There's a bunch more guys. You have a young core at the moment that you're going to have to pay in order to keep together. That's what wins championships, is keeping guys together. The less draft picks you have, the less cap you have to use on 7 guys. You can use them on 1 guy and keep this roster together and make this team awesome and the best team possible for years to come. Cowboys also save themselves caps for years. They get a ton of good picks, and also overall, they're probably going to have to rebuild considering the fact of the disaster they had against Green Bay in the playoffs last year. Jerry's not going to be happy about it. Overall, I hope you guys are seeing what I'm saying. Less draft picks ends up being more cap for us to pay the guys that are currently on the roster and make this team great for a long time. Just putting that out there. Want to hear your thoughts on that. So the cap impact, you're going to have to pay a Montez Sweat money, if not even more. I mean, this guy is definitely one of the best edge rushers, if not the best young edge rusher in the league right now. You get rid of all those picks, you get all that cap back. You're saving 14 to 15 million a year, at least for the next 2 seasons. You get some money back for Nate Davis. You're paying Parsons the next 2 years for sure. You restructure some other contracts. Things could work out. And again, like I was just explaining in my rant, the less draft capital you have when you already have elite players like Parsons, like Jalen Johnson, like Montez Sweat, so on and so forth, and Caleb Williams turns out to who he could end up being, you're in a really good position. It's okay to not draft 1 million people. And yeah, that would stink for me in the offseason because I wouldn't have much to talk about. But this team, I'd rather this team win than talk about a bunch of draft picks like we have the last couple of years. So quickly, let's just talk about that projected defense before we close out today. So the defense, the next at least 2 seasons would be in the front 4, Montez Sweat, Andrew Billings, Javon Dexter Sr., and Parsons. And then your linebackers, you have TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds. And then your secondary is Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, and Kevin Byard. Holy crap. You can't tell me that's a top 2 defense, if not the number 1 defense. And you're going to have that the next 2 seasons. And then you have the cap because you have less picks in order to spend more money and you can keep those guys. Come on, folks. I mean, I'm telling you, this is a big deal for the Chicago Bears. And oh yeah, in regards to center, go out and get Connor Williams because now you can move Ryan Bates to right guard or Coleman Shelton could be center. It doesn't matter, but you can still get Connor Williams. So overall, This could be big for the Chicago Bears. I know that the Khalil Mack trade messed up our future for a while, but the way this team is designed now versus just having a bunch of veteran contracts, you get rid of those draft picks, you have the money, you pay Parsons, but you're winning. Much different ball game. And would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. So please smash that like button on this video if you haven't already. Comment your thoughts in the comment section below or just a bear down, and hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all Chicago Bears news and content. We're going to be doing a pretty big giveaway before actually training camp starts. So make sure that you subscribe because you're automatically entered. But with that, thank you as always for tuning this episode of Just Another Year Chicago Bears. Hope you're having a great weekend, and let's hear it loud and proud. Bear down, baby.